Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. Millennium to power millennium. Good morning, everybody. Wish you all best this day of Holi. This is Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, March 18, 2022, daily of the Holi. It's 4:06 a.m. मैं सूरज सिंह सिविल इंजीनियर भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ. आज मार्च 18 2022 शुक्रवार 4:06 सुबह के Friday early morning for 7 March 18 2022 and present to you continuation of this talk of quality and coordination important issue. Before going further, just have a look on this mail ID suraj_engineer at yahoo.co.uk, and of course certification, both certifications, membership, fellow. These are my credentials, part of credentials. I have not put all credentials, just some only for information. I put them off because just for information it is. And we have coordination, engineering projects, and we have quality in our country that speaks about quality and coordination. I say get up quality and get up coordination is I ask myself, we ask ourselves to get up. In relation to quality requirements and coordination work, we should not sleep on this. We should be alert all time that we are missing, and actually everybody should say, not myself alone, everybody, at least professionals, civil engineering professionals must say, I cannot work in my profession without quality, without coordination, particularly civil engineers I am saying, because this is only engineering branch where individual contribution matters a lot to maximum extent. In other branches like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and many other engineerings, personal involvement does not amount to that level as in engineering does. On-site work, personal enjoyment of work, personal contribution of work, personal lead of work, personal planning and determination, and many other factors count in construction and designs. Only engineering that gives you flexibility of decision, flexibility of availability of information to select, and that's very important point I can say. That's why maybe I'm not saying about money value that one gets, but satisfaction one can get, and how much I can or you can contribute to development of this earth. This means if you do it honestly, sincerely, and with whatever is expected of an engineer, not only on earth but from an aspect God thinks so. I think it's only branch which can value a lot. There are other branches, other professions which do not matter that much except medical science, and medical science comes above engineering science because it helps human to live with safety, with comfort. So though we are in development, they are in a kind of helping people maintain good health. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, both are number one. Health is a must, though development may not be there, but health must be there. And that's why I state that medical science is number one as far as human is concerned, and then comes development. And development involves physical development, that is most important, but mental development is also very important, which people do not realize. And mental development means we have to think and use this mind. Actually what happens that due to advancement of technology, due to advancement of engineering, and due to extensive development in world, value of mind has been dropped. Means mind itself has been dependent on something else. And we know what is that. That is software engineering and software itself, computer itself. It has dropped functioning of mind which it used to do. Example is lack of calculations. Nobody calculates these days. It's done automatically using software. This means activity of mind has gone. Also, writing has been reduced. We just type and do it. This means writing skill is not used now. It is obsolete. That means hardly maybe sometime in a year you may write, or even signatures are not required due to computer. So what I mean to say, our skills that could help us in every affair has gone. And because we are not used to writing very well now, we can't even speak very well. And due to this, what happens, our energies which used to be consumed in past by operating these skills, writing, thinking, reading, have gone, and our energies are now surplus. And that's why people get explosive too early. They get angry, or they do not even talk. The energies are spent on chatting, on computers, internet, all that. I don't say don't use this, use computer, use internet, use everything. But your mind should also develop. Your mind development is very important. Every work is used and mind is used. In mind, work when you do, mind should be used. And when mind is used means your property is used. Mind is your original property, and whole body supports mind. That we have to understand. And when I say mind, it does not mean physical structure of mind. It means soul power of mind and physical structure both. What happens that we keep our faces very clean, beautified, but power of mind has gone down. Subject of this talk is not power of mind, but because I am talking of coordination, I am talking of quality. Therefore, power of mind is involved directly, not indirectly, directly. If my mind does not work fruitfully or in a fertile way, it shall work in futile way. And futile means zero, even minus. That's why I say if mind does not work, if mind does not do its job, I cannot think of coordination. And if I cannot think of coordination, this means I cannot think of quality. Communication works somewhere, it does not work everywhere. And this also happens. Fill in blanks are not filled. There are many dotted lines in our life now, and we can track them, but we do not want to track them. Previously, if you go a little past in 2 or 3 decades, you had different life when computers were not there. And people were very intelligent. They used to calculate, write, speak, read books, etc., etc. How many people read books now? People don't read books. And they get sometimes wrong information, sometimes right information from internet. Information available on the internet is not warranted, it's not definite. I have seen even everybody is interested to post on internet, on various social media site, you post it. But don't post something that is irrelevant or that doesn't mean anything. But you enjoy internet, I don't say, but when seriousness comes into counting, at that time, it's not, I think, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, I have seen that. That's why I always select this issue of quality and coordination every day, because it never ends. And what I think at that time I speak just like title says, quality, coordination, engineering project works and reliable engineers. This is one part of this talk. Then there is communication part, and we have contracts and concrete, and of course construction methods. I'm talking of construction methods. There may be issue of design, I mean to say production methods. There may be processing methods. It's just indicative, that something is there which we have to control. And engineers are that element of society, those elements, engineers, those elements without which we cannot develop, we cannot move forward. And engineers know this. I don't say that they are very educated people. They have complete potential, full potential of doing what they desire. But they should be supported by certain system, and systems do exist, but not functional as it should be intended. I'm just simply saying engineer is role model of society. Is it? Question is that. Today who wants to be engineer? Very few people, because they think money criteria is first consideration. How much money shall one get if you become an engineer? And first of all, you need money to become an engineer. Same way as you need money for becoming a doctor. So when point of view of money comes in, then you cannot think of quality alone or coordination alone. We have to take total requirement into consideration, not simple one part of that scenario. It's same thing that I want to be a doctor. What shall I get after becoming doctor? I do a job or I do practice. That point comes into mind. Your knowledge is deferred, means what knowledge you shall get, how long, how best I would serve people, that mind does not come into mind. Same way in engineering education, it applies. What package shall you get? You see, package of money, package of facility, that is one part which is essential. But you are an engineer, you are a doctor, you have to first consider that point that God has given you opportunity. It's not your money you got opportunity. Yes, money might have been source, but money also comes from natural resources. It comes from earth only. It's God's property, not your property. If you think it's your property, then you are in black world. You don't know what is right or what is wrong. What I am saying is that we should not count everywhere economy or money. Money is support, but the real money is yourself. Real money is yourself. It's you. Can you measure value of mind? No one can measure. How can you measure? Tell me what's unit of mind? How does it work? How shall you quantify it? We cannot. We can say it's my mind, and I say mind is wealth, just like your body is wealth. Mind and body both are wealth, and that's a fact. That's what I'm saying. We have to be little logistic. Education, if cannot teach me what is logic, how to think of, if my education has failed in pushing me to think or in forcing me to think, if I cannot think, this means I'm not educated. That's very fact. If one person cannot think logically, I cannot call that person educated one, even though that person has got PhD, because your education is only education certificate and not real world. Education means application. Education means you have to use knowledge, but you do not use knowledge. This means you are not a quality educated person. You cannot coordinate, you cannot think. Coordination means thinking, nothing else. Coordination and thinking are related. You have to find where that material which is required exists, and you have to extract from there for purpose of connection with another information. And that's what coordination is. There may be 10 requirements. You have to find those 10 requirements for one work, one solution. You have to find all those requirements, and if you are unable to find that requirement, you cannot process further. You cannot proceed. And that's what is quality. Means it's your energy that is required, it is your initiative that is required, it's your continuation that is required, and you have to find all these information which are necessary. You cannot leave even one. You have to find them if you really want to do a professional work. Otherwise, whatever you work with deficiency of information, you shall do deficient work, incomplete work. That's why. So everybody, that's what I say, individual consideration, individual person is at top consideration when we consider quality engineering or quality person. If an individual does not have quality in whatever where you work, in science, in engineering, or in other fields, whatever fields, if you don't have individual character, individual quality controls, individual quality requirement, you don't fulfill, you can never be successful. That's what I understand. And successful doesn't mean that you should get some award or you should get some money. Success means you should move and move and move and move. Move in certain direction with certain constructive purpose is called success, not damage. Don't destruct. I'm talking of construction. If you can construction in the direction, you are a successful person. What you win, what you don't win, that's not an issue here. There are many competitions, people get award and they think that, no, that is not. Everybody is competent there, only difference is little percentages. So same thing is here. Everybody has responsibility. Everybody is responsible. Everybody, knows job. But only difference is the speed. The speed is somebody runs fast and somebody cannot run fast. That's the only difference. But everybody runs, and that's my point. Everybody has mind. Everybody has body, and everybody cannot use mind because of many reasons. And that's why mental capacity either is reduced or increased. It depends. Mind is there. It's your mind, your property. It's up to you. How do you make use of that money? Mind is money, nothing else. I'm not talking of physical money, I'm talking of money which cannot be counted. Mind is that money, soul is that money. That's why if you are a quality person, you must have powerful soul. And if it's not powerful, you have to make it powerful. And you can coordinate, you should coordinate. You cannot say something without even understanding that. Means speaking for nothing, speaking for something, speaking for good thing, speaking for logical. There's a difference in every speech. If you write something just for enjoyment, or I'm writing something because I have no work. Okay, write something, read something. It happens. You read sometimes irrelevant subjects, no problem. You read at least, you don't waste your time. Something you got in. That's what I say. Quality requirement, quality name, quality description for an individual amounts a lot in improvement of quality of product, quality of work, quality of service. What state of mind you have, what do you think about your work. You just measure in one unit or different units. It's in your control. Quality falls because we fall. Simple. If individual falls, quality falls. Coordination is not required when there exists no quality. When you don't want to do systematic work, you just want to do haphazard work in haphazard way. And that haphazard way means there is no logic, there is no sequence, serial is missed, and you do your way. And that's what is point here to be considered. And it may be design work, or it may be manufacturing, it may be construction. Continuously to do assessment for working is necessary, and you have to do at every step that I did not miss anything. You say, no, this is routine, this is production, this goes on and on and on. In that case, quality cannot be maintained. And quality, I say, doesn't mean testing only. Testing is a part of quality, and that is a must. Quality means you have to improve every time. Improvement of work. Just we say, you plan something, you do something, you check what you have done, and then you find certain errors, you improve those or correct those. We say like that. You have to plan. You plan something, then you have to do something. After doing something, you have to check it, you have to examine it and re-examine it. Then you will find certain errors or certain deficiencies. If not errors, then you have to fulfill them or pop up them, or you can say you have to top up them. And it's called correction or remedial action on compliance, or even if it is non-compliance, you have to correct it to make it compliance one. And that's why we say generally it is a procedure. It should be, and we do, but it wastes time. Time is very important in a construction, in development. Same way, cost is also important. When time is important, cost is important, then quality is also important. And otherwise, these are three very small points. But in fact, life of that product is also important. That is very important. If a product which is intended to be used for 5 years, and due to malfunctioning of quality, malfunctioning of its production, it works only for 2 years, then we lose 60% time. We lose in fact 60% money, because this won't be useful for 5 years. And that you can say life requirement, life cycle of that one. Today you are happy you got discount on this, but that discount is meaningful only if it has certain life as you expected. If that product does not life, you cannot say that this is good product, it is bad product in that case. Simple example I'm trying to sum it. And when we say we have to think of quality, means we have to fix quality. It's not just thinking. Fixing quality is equally important You cannot say otherwise. And if you can't fix it, then you are somewhere wrong. And that point you have to correct, you have to find where is wrong first of all, and then just like the plan will do and check. So you have to check yourself. It's a simple way of how to understand something. And I don't say people don't understand, people understand, but everybody does not understand. And even if you understand, you forget it, you overlook it. You condone it and you don't take care of that. It is same thing as used to mathematics in past, and you say, okay, find under root of 2. And we know under root of 2 what is that, but if you want somebody else now, you drive it, you calculate it mathematically without using computer. When maybe I forget under root 2 how to find 2 or how to even divide something. If you ask a student today, I give an example. Means just say, okay, I give you 100 rupees, and you go to shop, buy 73 rupees item, and ask shopkeeper to give you back. How much what should shopkeeper give you back? Students can't reply that. That is an important point. I just give you an example, and they don't understand. Very few understand it. So that's what I say: quality education, quality work, quality thinking, quality service. Every sector of life is dependent on quality. But if we cannot do it, and that's a serious point, we have to be about. That's what I wanted to tell about how we have to improve. And improvement is required in every sector. That improvement is that work's quality cannot be compromised, and therefore we do not intend to compromise just in name of fragile system, because this system, whatever we have here, IS 9000 or Sigma or whatever it is, these are all systems derived by us, and these systems do not guarantee any product quality. We know that, though we call it now it should be, but practically it is don't guarantee. And everybody has certifications. We got no meaning, because if you don't get quality product, there is no meaning of these systems. In that case, we can say we can depend on only quality controls and not total quality, because total quality does not work in totality. And if it doesn't work in totality, if it works fine, it's up to you how fast and how intensively you move on that. That is your own choice. And it's not you alone. If you are alone, what happens if suppose what you do where you are responsible, it's your input only that is that amounts and that calculates and that does operates only your input. Or you can say, then you can say, okay, fine, you infill your efficiency into that, your knowledge into that, and result would be qualitative. But if same work is done by many people, and that is a requirement, that one person is not enough to do that job, then you have to think of quality percentage everybody can contribute. And that's point where we say, when individuals as individual we do better than when a group does. But group is important, because every work cannot be done by individual, and particularly in construction, in development, individual can contribute, but every individual is not equal, and that point we have to keep in mind. And therefore, if we say train, we have to train everybody in that function, that you have to do this much at least. So okay, if you cannot do more than this, at least this is you have to do, this is what you have to do, and everybody has to do this, so that we try to bring uniformity in performance coefficient level. And that's what you see. So now quality system, I'm talking, and it's really, there's so many obstructions in that, so many, we have so many that's what we have to do. Means those persons who don't have information must be provided information. Information must be brought to those persons who require it, and it must be provided in right time, at that time when it is required. That's called right time. It's not that you provide any time you wish. If you don't provide in right time, it got no meaning. That's important point that we say. It must be provided in right time. Now signals have fallen and dropped. I think it will stop again. It's come. Information must be brought to those personnel who require it, and it must be provided in right time for right requirement and quite rightly duly coordinated. Dissemination of engineering information about quality requirement and how to transform using method statements. That's another say. Dissemination means spreading your information to those who require it. It's called dissemination. A kind of seminar means you conduct seminar with those in direct seminar, or you can say remote seminar, by providing certain information, and that is called dissemination for engineering information about quality requirements and how to transform using method statements. And it's not only engineering work I can do. This principle can be applied, can be extended to whatever field you wish. How to concentrate on construction methods, decision making, and that's another point. Means you have to decide what way you have to go, and that decision is also important, and that resolution to do right work for special requirements. And so you means say, okay, first time maybe you do not think that much, but you learn something after application first time, and then it should go to second application, and then go to third application. Likewise, you can say there can exist a string of learning, and that string of learning is very important in work experience. First experience, first learning, second experience, second learning, likewise further and further and further experiences, and further learning. And that's called operational research. Once you are involved in operational research, how to operate something, and that to how to improve it, how to make it better. So how to concentrate on construction methods, decision making, resolution to do right work per specified requirements. And methods can be designed. Of course, we design method itself is a design how to do some job. Methods can be designed and drawn, stated for designs. Some statement can be written for designs and for execution, for carrying out activities, and or for doing job or doing tasks, you can say, as well as for rectifications, remedial, and for services, both. Methods means comprehensive methods and not selective ones. Everywhere there should be method for every activity. Sometimes we think, oh, this is very small activity, why should you worry about this? We do as we know. No, you cannot do that. This means this is careless. You enter into degree of carelessness, degree of ignorance. Ignorance is not acceptable, because you have to keep people on track. You cannot say this is very small distance, train can go without track. You cannot say that train needs track. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. There's a gap somewhere. Okay, train cannot go. You say, no, take it, no problem. It will move, and that's this is carelessness. With this, you can say wrong way. Methods means comprehensive methods and not selective ones. No work can be carried out without referring to method statements, which must contain safety, health and environment issues, and quality approach at every possible and convenient stage. Otherwise, it is not right way to do job, because safety where people work is very important. At least where people work, personal work. Of course, machines also require, but I am talking of lives first. Safety, health and environment is very important subject for every worker, for every organizer to attend. And of course, quality approach is in parallel to that, but if you are safe, you can work qualitatively. What about contents for construction? Contracts is very important part in construction. And what about that? I'm sure many people skip this topic of contracts because they're not interested. People say, I am a designer, what I have to do? I am a writer, what I have to do with contract? I am this and I am that. People do not understand contract. And contract is actually a medium like social media. Without contract, performance cannot be done. And I'm not saying that contract is only way, but conventionally in industry contracts is very important. Everywhere it may be supplies contract or it may be works contract. or it may be management contract or supervision contract, or it may be whatever you can say, design contract, construction contract, design and construction contract, item based contract, whatever when contract is contract. And when two persons enter into some writing for some price to do something, one has to pay and one has to receive that price, and one has to work and one has to deliver that for to that person who pays price under certain law, that is called contract. It can be written, it may not be written, it depends. It's up to them. But agreement is important, understanding is important, and there are so many ifs and buts in that. Divisions of responsibility do exist, and we have to understand those points. There are at least two parties, one here and one there. One party is one party is two, and they have to agree for respective roles, respective responsibilities for some work, and they have to define them and works without any disputes. And that's what's ideal world we say about contracts for construction. And should engineers know thoroughly, or they should know thoroughly, that's also a question. Engineers' job is to supervise, to design, to check, to examine examine these works. You have to first of all design for these works, what designs, how we should work on this. Then you have to check those works and you have to also decide about those works. That's the job of engineers, and I can say in that case contracts knowledge is very important. And if we are not happy with contracts, we don't know this subject, I'm not interested, say, in that case you are not full-fledged engineer, because we have to deal with persons, and that's very important. Of course mathematics doesn't work there. If procedures work, what procedures we have to adopt, based on that we have to understand what to supervise, what to not to supervise, what to inspect, what not to inspect. And that is technology relations, what you decide yourself, or some standard decides for you. That's what happens. Contracts for designs, contracts for construction, contracts for procurement, contracts for whatever you say. And engineers must know about that. Even if you are in designs, it's your duty, because if you don't understand impacts of contracts on works, how can you think of durability of works? You got my point. If you fail to understand how this contract would go, how this moves, then how can you think? If contract does not move, you cannot also achieve what you thought of in your designs. This means designs has direct or indirect relation to contracts, and what can cause problem, what cannot cause problem. At least I'm not saying that you should be master of contracts. We should have at least limited knowledge of what we have to do, how does it impact on works, and how can it impact on design. When you do design, when there exists no contractor with you, you have to think of what could happen on this, regarding this work on site, what problems your design may create, or what problems or what convenient way it gives, because imaginary persons exist there. Neither you are on site and not the person who would work on this are on site, and maybe there is no site at all at this moment, and you have to depend on only reported substances. Quality contract, and that's very important point. When I say quality contract, because quality contract, the contract is also certain quality. One is that I just take some contract from past and copy and paste it, and that doesn't mean contract. That means a copy paste without even going through whether whatever clauses exist in that contract relate to you, your work now you're doing, or just you have habit of copying and paste and say I have done it. That's point means analysis. You have to think of, not doing analysis, but you have to think of means how this work starts and how this work moves and how this work ends, and what clauses are required, what clauses are not required. You have to think of standard contract, or you have to think of standard contract simultaneously. You have to think to replace many clauses, or you have to generate your own contract without referring to any standard contract. That depends on your efficiency and your specialization, how it can impact on others, because you have mutual responsibility of both parties, each other. You have mutual responsibility on contract, that you are responsible both party 1 and party 2, and its combination of responsibilities, it is contribution by both parties that leads to success of a project or leads to failure of a project. Or if failure means you cannot fulfill your responsibility or disputes are generated, whatever you can say. We have to understand quality, what is quality in contracts. Clauses should be fruitful, clauses should be useful. This could be give benefit to contract work, and professionals who are involved with that work should know how to help themselves, and that's a very important point we have to think of. And if we can't think of that, this means we are deficient in our approach, and that deficiency must be corrected, must be filled in. This means we, as I said, do we recognize? What I said is, do we recognize? Also I should say, do we organize to design quality contract, or do we go per lines decided by others? Do we organize to design quality contract, or do we go per lines decided by others? Should we ignore power and impacts on works quality, performance that contracts can attack on designs and prosecution? So as I said, do we organize? I repeat, because sometimes we don't even concentrate on reading, so better to repeat spotted clauses, important context of talk. And as I say, do we organize? Do we organize to design quality contract, or do we go per lines decided by others, which means we have to copy and paste? That's one part. I don't say copy and paste is wrong. If you have gone through that thoroughly, you have analyzed that, okay, this applies to my work, it's okay, that's no problem, because ultimately you have to do another crime. But if it does not apply, then you have to amend that. Of course, you can take references, you can take clauses, you can understand definition of clauses, and this, okay, these work well, and this all clauses work for you, and there's no harm in adopting them. Should we ignore power and impacts on works quality, performance that contracts can attack on design and prosecution? And then you have to understand, you have to analyze what sections or what clauses you are adopting, and what help these should give to your proposal in a qualitative way. Means, so when your work is performed, shall this clause come into way of stopping it, or it will allow this to perform efficiently? These conditions can be used if you think that, okay, I have analyzed it and this shall work for my contract significantly, it shall work efficiently, it shall work. And you can say, without contract works being impacted upon, without designs being impacted upon, without prosecution being impacted upon, these clauses can be used, or you can insert your own clauses. That's what we say, quality. Understanding of contract and analysis is very important. Analysis of requirement means, if whatever work it is, whatever activities are there, how can this quality of contract, how can conditions of contract help? And that's why you can say contract analysis. We have to understand what do we do and how we have to do, and what's the best way that this contract can be designed. And of course depends on owners, what owners of that work, owner of that work desires, and what public can desire. You can say sometimes public is also important, though public is no direct role, but because work is for public, so it is very important to see that public should not suffer on that account. And do our engineers have interest in contract designs? And that is a question mark. Do engineers have interest in contract designs, or drawings, you can say, if you don't say design. Drawing is also called drawing because we draw certain substance on contract. Drawings activity which always remains very complex and certainly impacts on contract performance and contract related disputes. So if your contract is incomplete, it's not perfect, it's not workable, and we have got into contract, we entered into that, then definitely we have to work completely, fully, but with many observations, with many written documents, alleging upon each other. This doesn't apply to me. How you means there should be something which you have to understand, because once agreed contract is a contract, it's a charter, it's a rights, it's a question of giving rights to each other. So it's very important that we have to understand what contracts are. So we say, do our engineers have interest in contract design, drawings activity, which always remains very complex and certainly impacts on contract performance and contract related disputes. Are our engineers those interested in design activities, not inclined to involve with construction activities? And if not, what are valid reasons? We have seen that engineering has been now many ways forfeited, or you can say many ways it has gone into. Those engineers who work in designs, they think design is best or it's comfortable for them, and those who work on sites, they think sometimes, after sometimes, okay, site is better, office work is very difficult. It happens, and I have seen this practically. But you may be feeling difficult, you may be feeling that you want comfort, but you think at cost of risk, at cost of loss of performance, loss of quality. We have to get this point. Means you are fine, you are working in designs, but your designs depend on success. Not worried about that, then you can say, okay, no problem, I don't worry, I'm only interested in designs. Only part engineer, you do not know total engineering, because design means work. How shall this work be done? We should keep in mind, and it's called certain, sometimes we call it constructability and sometimes we call it buildability. Your design should have buildability or constructability. That is first requirement. Your design should be safe for working, safe for serving. That's also a requirement. Your design should be, it should function. It should function for purpose that was intended for. That purpose we intended for this design. We intended that we should get this performance, this use, and that should not affect. And also, you can say it should move, it should serve for that period for which we have said we will use this work, this, and that we call in terms of our talks, it is durability or life, long life of that product, that work. In that case, we can say what I said. What are reasons that engineers are not interested in that? I've not seen those engineers who work in designs, or those who work in planning, or those who work in quality, or those who work on safety. They are least interested in what contract is. Yes, they have under force to refer to these conditions only for purpose of responding, but not for purpose of thorough research. So when there is a deficiency in understanding of contracts, there is a deficiency in understanding of technical skills, how can you expect that you can supervise job in an excellent way, in a professional way, and you can do also job in a professional way? So that's what I said. Are our engineers, those interested in designs activities, not inclined to involve with construction activities? And if not, what are valid reasons? And valid reasons is only one, that I am a design engineer, I should call myself design engineer, and I don't want to come out of this because I want to be extremely specialized. That can be one reason. Or you can say, no, I don't care for others, I have done this, you do it. And that can be another reason. Either you don't want to listen, or you don't want to talk to those people who have done that kind of work in past. Interaction does not exist because of many reasons. I don't know all reasons, and you know many reasons, but I say it may be design, it may be prosecution, it may be testing or whatever. Every act is part of profession, and we have to consider that seriously, because it is engineering. Wherever you work in designs on sites or anyway, there's a quality. It's all engineering. You cannot say that this is devoid of engineering. And then we say, what is the issue? That engineers do not incline to work in coordination activities that impact on quality of designs and quality of construction. And this also very important line, important phrasing in sentences, that what is reason, what is issue that engineers do not incline or work in coordination. Either one does not understand coordination, that is one meaning, but I don't think that engineers do not understand coordination. It's not acceptable, and every engineer knows coordination. Without coordination, engineer cannot work. That's also true. It's our education is as such. Even in engineering education, if you do not concentrate on every issue, you cannot pass it. It happens. So coordination explains us, it helps us. You can say it's a kind of traffic signal or a crossing or a T, where you have to look into each direction to make sure that there is no car coming in from the other side, no vehicle coming in. And even if there are signals given electronically, I cannot be sure of anything. So we have to make sure that, assuming there is no light, how we have to control, how to think and move and drive, and that's what we have to drive in our profession. We have to drive on projects, how we have to take care of those projects. So there is no specific reason we can justify that I did not do coordination. You have to do coordination. You cannot simply do coordination when there is a dispute or there is a problem. It should be done in peaceful activity, constructive activity, wherever it is, which can change life of professional and change of those people, those projects. And also we can say quality of construction, quality of designs are very important issues. If we maintain quality in construction, if we maintain quality in designs and quality in quality itself, we can do better, we can work better. And we cannot simply say, I have done this in past, I am doing now. If you did not do something in past in the right way, you have to learn it and do it now. It's not that nobody punishes anyone, but because it's a question of heavy investment of money and heavy investment of time, as well as heavy requirement of quality. If you have all heavy, quality requirement should also be heavy. At that point we have to get into, should we respect project contracts, or we should move without such contracts? This is very important question, what to do. We are government, we are companies of government, we are departments of government. We have to follow what government says. But what does government say? That also you have to see. Government doesn't say anything. It is profession that requires something. Even if you do for government, this means government is your client. It's nothing else. You have to do work in a systematic way, system of engineering, system of profession. And ethics we have to understand each other. It's very important part to understand contracts, and contracts means written charter. It's a charter that one gives to other one, and that's called rights, written privileges that one wants to accept or adopt it. We have to understand that point, how we can move on contracts with little knowledge, or what our experience is. Everybody has experience, how much one put somewhere. Maybe you forget instantly, but when you try to recall it, you get information. That's an important, significant part. We have to realize, and therefore, should we respect project contracts, or we should move without such contracts? I would say you can do both way. I'm not mandating that without contracts you cannot do. If you have skills, if you have expertise, if you can concentrate, you can do work yourself. But don't forget that you need material to buy, You have to procure material, you have to procure machines, you have to procure workers, you have to procure each and every resource to do that work. And that's where concern is. Without that resource, you cannot do anything, and for that resource, you have to procure material, and for that also you need some contract supplies, contracts of workers. Maybe you get workers from some agency, or you may get directly. Both are important. You must have infrastructure for that. You must do it. You cannot go every day and say 2 or 3 persons come work. You must have proper planning, and that's why it depends on your capacity. How can you move? Can you if you can move successfully without contact with others? You can move successfully. This means you yourself have become indirectly contractor. You are a contractor without getting any package, just your salary. That's what I say. So that just should we respect project contracts, or we should move without such. Major material and construction, at least in development at least. Concrete is a part of development. Concrete is a life. As far as our world is concerned, concrete is used everywhere. It's international material, you can say. Concrete is that, just like bricks were. So what about, what is the issue? See what we say, what about engineering materials being used, and what about concrete we have to think of, and what about major materials that are considered often permanently included in structures and buildings, even everywhere on all projects. It's very important point we're discussing here. First of all, that we have to use major materials, and concrete is major material in construction. There are many other major materials which are used for permanent inclusion. And when I say permanent inclusion, this means that is main material for which you have to claim payment for, original payment, not transferred payment. When somebody gives you this, means you have to work on that material, and you have to buy that material before working. And that's why it's important always to think in a comprehensive way. All activities should be thought of, should be contemplated before finalizing in arbitrary way. We are saying no arbitrary interest and no arbitrary interest. It should be logical, because engineering is not arbitrary, it is logical. It is that requirement which anybody or someone cannot give you. Now, what about engineering materials we have to think of being used to produce various 100 parts goods in manufacturing? So what we say, this is what is provision by government to force productions and construction be delivered with quality compliance. In fact, there can be no force. It's you only to decide. It's employer to decide. It is contractor to deliver, and it's engineer to ensure that quality is delivered. And it's also third party nowadays to ensure more and more how best we can get it. Otherwise, it's a problem always. It's very important part here. We have to understand very clearly. It's a very important part. I can say very important part. But understand very clearly. Otherwise, we face problems and problems and problems. Concrete is very important material. I now take something on quality, on coordination. Say here that is coordination. First of all, missing coordination means missing good engineering, and that is first objection here. We cannot coordinate if we don't have information, and also if we do not coordinate, which means we miss good engineering. It's up to you whether you want good engineering or you don't want good engineering. In hands of owner or in hands of engineer, and also in hands of contractor, because these contractors I do not consider very ordinary contractor who take project. They are professionals. legally required professionals, not simply professionals. It's in your hands what level of person you want to say as contractor. Everybody can claim I am contractor, I am builder. Everybody can claim that. But for me, those who are professionals, who have long experience in doing good work, not just experience in doing good work, I can call them contractors. Others are just nothing. And contractor means contractor. Honor means honor. It's we have to decide what is right. I have to pay money. It's my right to decide what I am paying for and what I get after payment and after delivery. And that is simple answer that how contract works on to that. Coordination means missing good in engineering if we miss coordination, and questions may arise there, very few very small questions, and we can say is coordination engineering a must on every project? That is question everybody has to think on. And project means all performance activities involved from pre-designs to final completion of complete construction, and also few difficult questions to be answered by engineering community, which may be about quality and coordination and about respective involvement in entirety. Can we ignore these domains? And if we can, which is other one that we can get into that point? We have to decide. If we miss these domains, if we ignore quality requirement, and if we ignore coordination, then how can we work? Can we work even? That could be a question. If what is other way, how to do it? All these questions should come to mind of everybody. And what are respective involvements in entirety? We have to decide how to do that, which is other way. Can we ignore these domains? And if we can ignore, then we must have something else with us, some other domain which we do not know, because even quality and coordination we do not know in fact. So we are calling them domains. These two do not exist for people. What do we engineers think over issues as mentioned? What's personal opinion? What is intellectual opinion? And what is professional opinion? That we have to think of. We have to think. How many of us do conduct work per quality and coordination engineering requirement? How we have to think ourselves. We have to question. As an individual, I can question. I can think of myself. How many projects I have done? How many mistakes did I make? I know them, and we can learn from them. But how many are there? Everybody cannot find all list, and that's where we cannot even teach something to others if we don't do ourselves. And that's important. How many of us do conduct works per quality and coordination requirement, coordination engineering requirement? And now after that I can say if there's no such support, there's no such significant help available, then we have to think of further. Is it not right time to contemplate and deliberate on this subject? That is the main issue we are talking on, this subject of coordination and quality. And can good industrial practice be achieved? And that's part is, can we achieve industrial practice? And not industrial practice, but good professional industrial practice. I'm saying good professional engineering practice be achieved without moving through quality and coordination domains. Can engineering designs be reliably carried out? That's the point. Can engineering designs be reliably carried out? If can, okay. And if cannot, then we have to think of, without involving quality and coordination, how can we do it? I think there is a great question and great thought is required. Where are we going? Where are we going? We are going nowhere. That answer we have to give. And communication support for reliable coordination When I say reliable coordination, this is also very important part, just like I said, reliable engineers. Reliable engineers can do reliable coordination, otherwise it cannot be done. Coordination not easy. It's not communication alone, and communication support it is. When we say communication support for reliable coordination, there should be what source of information is required, how it can be communicated, waste. My time has gone waste. We should not say that. That's one point, very one point when we say communication support for reliable coordination, and that point we have to realize fact in life. In fact, we can talk a lot on this subject, thinking and thinking and thinking, and thinking has got no limits. And that's also a fact of life. Thinking has got no limits. We can think, but we are talking of very important material, and that is concrete. Concrete. I just got this file 2 days back about Japan concrete specifications. Especially concrete from Japan, and I just tried to see that. I thought something is better, at least something is better, and we let us see this book, let us see, let's go through this document and see how can it help us. And that point is really wonderful. If you think so, it can help me and you, and it can help anybody. And so standard specifications for concrete structures, etc. It's 2007. It's quite old. There will be a new one, but no problem. We have to understand at least what we expected in 2007. It's just 15 years back. And that's where we can say this is an important one. And we can go like this. I think it's page 60. We was there somewhere there. Page 60. Creep, clearances, cover, mix proportion, trial mixing, characteristics, compressive strength of concrete, pumpability, placing height, placing height, free fall height, shoot fall height, I'm sorry, free fall height, compaction height, durability, alkali, water tightness, autogenous shrinkage, crack resistance, placement interval, cold joint, batch mixer, continuous mixer, ready mix concrete, shearing, sheathing, wooden, sheathing, equivalent horizontal, conveying distance, quality control, inspection, control chart, mass concrete, plasticized concrete, standard curing, moist curing, temp. We could not explain last time due to short of time. And now it's around 1 hour. We have gone through into this talk. Maybe I don't know how many more, maybe 1 hour more. Reinforcement concrete. We are discussing concrete chapter, concrete specification, which I consider very well, we all know. And we also know that without concrete, there's no way currently everywhere concrete is included. It uses is used for short term works and for long term works. We say reinforced concrete, and we also say that if you see these comments are certain, and you can also think of. It's not necessary that these comments cannot be further explained and can be thought of. I'm gastric. I'm gastric. Reinforced concrete, in a wide sense, also includes pre-stressed concrete and steel framed reinforced concrete, in which hot rolled section, steel and shape. Right. Reinforced concrete, in a wide sense, also includes pre-stressed concrete, steel framed reinforced concrete, in which hot rolled section, steel and shapes steel are used as reinforcing materials. However, in this specification, terms refers to concrete containing reinforcing steel bars. What are sieves actually? Standard sieves for concrete is a series of net-like sieves. Net-like sieves for sieve analysis of aggregate chosen from sieves specified in this code. Standard sieve in JSC standard or in this institutional standard, only their nominal sizes are given for convenience, although actual mesh sizes, diameters of wires, openings and so forth are same. Considering a stable, I'll go next. This level is considering customary practice. Aggregate prepared on construction, as aggregate prepared on construction site is not screened thoroughly. Aggregate particles passing 5 mm sieve are frequently included in coarse aggregate, and particles retaining on 5 mm sieve in fine aggregate. Says that aggregate prepared on construction site is not screened thoroughly. Aggregate particles passing 5 mm sieve are frequently included in coarse aggregate. And particles retained on 5 mm sieve in fine aggregate. Well, there may be some commentary as erroneous. In a broad sense, sand is used as synonym of fine aggregate. Synonym of fine aggregate. But it treated as generic name for natural fine aggregates in this specification. Natural fine aggregate. Grading of aggregate. This term grading of aggregate represents degree that small and large size aggregates are mixed moderately. Small and large size aggregates are mixed moderately. It is expressed by volume ratio of particles. However, for simplification, it is generally expressed by cumulative weight percentage of aggregate. Cumulative weight percentage of aggregate passing each size of sieve. When aggregates with different densities are mixed together, cumulative weight percentage is also converted to volume percentage in order to adjust grain size distribution. Retained on 10 mm sieve means sum of weight percentages of sample retained on each 80, 40, 20 and 10 mm sieve. I will go to table. Shows example of calculation of fineness modulus from rest of sieve analysis of coarse aggregate. Fineness modulus is a practical index to show approximate grading of aggregate and is conveniently used to judge state of change in grading of aggregate and to estimate unit water content in mix design of concrete. However, attention shall be paid that grading of aggregate which has same fineness modulus I'm sorry, not 81. I think I was wrong somewhere, or it says wrong. Well, no problem. Let's see this table. Example of calculation of fine aggregate, and course a fineness modulus of aggregate here. It's very simple. Quantity of sample retained on 80 mm sieve, 40 mm sieve, 20, 10, 5, 2.5, 1.2, 600 micrometer and micrometer, 300 micrometer and 150 micrometer. So 80, 40, 20, 10, 5, 2.5, 1.2, 0.6, 0.3, or you can say 0.15. In fact, rather than writing like that, means 0.15 meter. Again I say it is 80 mm. You know what is 80 mm? More than 3 inches. 80, 40, 1.5 inches approximately. 20 is 3/4 inch and 10 is approximately half inch and 5. Likewise you can say. So remember that what sieve says in millimeters term means there is sieve square of 80 mm. 80, 40, 20, it goes in half and half, starting with 80, 80, half, 40, then 20, then 10, then 5, then 2.5, then likewise you can go putting half and half up to 0.15. So 80, 40, 20, 10, 5, 20, half, 1.2, 2.6, 1.2, 0.6, 0.3 and 0.15. Now fine aggregate, you can say there's a coarse aggregate, is a fine aggregate. Answer maybe example it is. Let's say on 80 mm chiro, there's no question of fine aggregate to stay above 80. So 80 transfers all aggregates. Same way 40 transfers all aggregates, and also you can say 20 does same and 10 does same, but 5 does not same. 5 says I hold 1% aggregate, then I hold 2 in 2.5 say 16%. So from 1%, 5 mm is 2.5%, 2.5 mm, this is 16, and then goes further to 1.2, which is 38. So twice and above, and same way it is 1.2 and 2.5 is 16, then 38, and 600 mm is 61%, and 30.3 micrometer is this many percentage. Likewise, we can say on both coarse aggregate and fine aggregate we have got here. In coarse aggregate terms is 20 mm, where we can retain something, and that is, if you sum up this example given, it is given that fineness modulus of fine aggregate is sum here, and we divide by 100 and we get 2.95, and coarse aggregate